Hello, everyone. We are here to discuss Chapter 6 Payroll Processing and Fixed Asset Procedures. In this chapter, we will learn about conceptual payroll system, physical payroll system, computer based payroll system, conceptual fixed asset system, and physical asset system. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Conceptual payroll system. Payroll processing is a special case purchases system in which the organization purchases labor rather than raw materials or finished goods for resale. Ang payroll processing ay part pa rin ng expenditure cycle together with purchase processing at cash disbursement, which is in Chapter 5. Kung sa purchase processing, we buy inventories or raw materials pag manufacturing o kaya naman finished goods na available for sale pag merchandise or trading business, sa payroll processing, bumibili din tayo but we are not purchasing inventories or raw materials, but we're purchasing labor. Although we are purchasing labor, we will still follow the same process, pero may konting specialization. The nature of payroll processing, however, creates the need for specialized procedures for the following reasons. So why does this payroll processing make it special case? A firm can design general purchasing and disbursement procedures that apply to all vendors and inventory items. Payroll procedures, however, differ greatly among classes of employees. Sa purchase processing kasi, standard ang process, pero pagdating sa payroll process, need natin mag-adjust depending sa classes of employees. Anong klaseng empleyado ka? Second, number two, general expenditure activities constitute a relatively steady stream of purchasing and disbursing transactions. Business organization thus design purchasing systems to deal with their normal level of activity. Payroll activities, on the other hand, are discrete events in which disbursement to employees occur weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. The task of periodically preparing large numbers of payroll checks in addition to the normal trade account checks can overload the general purchasing and cash disbursement system. Although recurring rin naman ang mga trade purchases, trade accounts, pero hindi yun consistent. Sa payroll activities, they are really recurring, either weekly ang sahuran or bi-weekly o kaya naman monthly. Ang problema dito, pag magpe-prepare tayo ng large number of payroll checks, nakabukod pa ito doon sa normal trade accounts. It may overload the general purchases and cash disbursement system. So baka ma-overwhelm ang system kasi madalas ito mangyari. So kumakain ito ng space that makes them unique also. Number three, writing checks to employees requires special controls. Yung pagsusulat ng check sa mga employee, it requires special controls. Combining payroll and trade transactions can encourage payroll fraud. So that is why we have to focus also our attention to the payroll processing. These are the reason payroll processing is a special type of processing system. I'm gonna read this first, like the definition, and then we're gonna proceed in the data flow diagram. Okay, personal department. The personal department prepares and submits personal action forms to the prepare payroll function. These documents identify employees authorized to receive a paycheck and are used to reflect changes in hourly pay rates, payroll deductions, and job classification. Figure 6-2 shows a personal action form used to advise payroll of an increase in an employee's salary. Production department, production employees prepare two types of time records, job tickets and time cards, which you will see later on. Job tickets capture the time that individual workers spend on each production job. Cost accounting uses this document to allocate the direct labor charges to work in process accounts. Time cards capture the time the employee is at work. These are sent to the prepare payroll payroll function for calculating the amount of the employee's paycheck. Figure 6-3 illustrates a job ticket and dash Figure 6-4 illustrates a time card. Update work in process account. After cost accounting allocates labor costs to the work in process account, the charges are summarized in a labor distribution summary and forwarded to the general ledger function. Payroll department. The payroll department receives pay rate and withholding data from personal department and hours work data from the production department. A clerk in payroll then performing the following tasks. Here is the data flow diagram ng payroll procedures. Please take note. Ang source of labor mo, it depends sa nature of your operation. Kung manufacturing ka, meron kang galing sa production at meron kang non-production personnel. Pero kung ikaw ay service type of business, merchandise or trading, wala kang production. So, manggagaling ka lang dito sa personal department. From the very start, for example, kakaumpisa pa lang for the payroll team to determine sino ang papasahurin nila. Ang nag-initiate ng notice para malaman ng payroll na meron tayong papasahurin at kung may mga changes sa salary rates or sa mga positions kasi usually may mga payroll system na nakaka-identify kung anong mga designations ng mga taong ito. So, we have the personal action form. So dito, from the personal department, ito yung HR department na nagno-notify kung sino-sino ang mga empleyado na papasahurin. Pero pag mayroon tayong manufacturing, of course, coming from the production, we will be receiving the job tickets and the time cards. Ito yung time card. Ito. Medyo, ito. Medyo traditional approach ito. Pero ngayon kasi, because of improvement sa technology, bibihira na ito. Kasi karamihan na yung mga naka-biometrics kahit sa production. Ito naman yung job ticket. Ito yung mga ginagamit natin as reference para pagdating sa cost accounting, malaman nila ano yung ipapasok natin as direct labor. Distribute paycheck, a form of payroll fraud, involves submitting time cards for non-existent employees. To prevent this, many companies use a paymaster to distribute the paychecks to employees. This individual is independent of the payroll process, not involved in payroll authorization or preparation tasks. If a valid employee does not claim a paycheck, the paymaster returns the check to payroll. The reason the check went unclaimed can then be investigated. Prepare cash disbursement. Upon receipt of the voucher packet, the cash disbursement function prepares a single check for the entire amount of the payroll and deposits it in the payroll Empress account. The employee paychecks are drawn on this account, which is used only for payroll. Funds must be transferred from the general cash account to this Impress account before the paychecks can be cashed. The clerk sends a copy of the check along with the disbursement voucher and the payroll register to the AP department where they are filed, not shown. Finally, a journal voucher is prepared and sent to the general ledger function. Next is the prepare accounts payable. The accounts payable clerk reviews the payroll register for correctness and prepares copies of cash disbursement voucher for the amount of the payroll. The clerk records the voucher in the voucher register and submits the voucher packet to cash disbursement. A copy of the disbursement voucher is sent to the general ledger function. Update general ledger. The general ledger function receives the labor distribution summary from cost accounting, the disbursement voucher from AP, and the journal voucher from cash. Once okay na, the payroll will prepare the paychecks and then it will be distributed to the employees. Ito on the assumption that we are preparing paychecks. Pero sa iba kasi, hindi na gumagamit ng paychecks. Naka-ATM na tayo, direct credit na ito. Pero usually sa mga first sahod ng mga employee, gumagamit pa rin ng cheque. Next, payroll control. Dito tayo sa transaction authorization at segregation of duties. Transaction authorization. A form of payroll fraud involves submitting time cards for employees who no longer work for the firm. To prevent this, the personal action from Health's payroll keeps the employee records current. This document describes additions, deletions, and other changes to the employee file and acts as an important authorization control to ensure that only the time cards of current and valid employees are processed. Ito yung kanina na in-explain ko, yung personal action form, na ito yung nagiging reference ng payroll kung may mga changes sa kanilang payroll system. So, the personal action form acts as an important authorization control. Kasi sa payroll, taga-process lang sila pero hindi sila basta-basta magpaproseso ng walang reference and the personal action form serves as their reference. Next, segregation of duties. The timekeeping function and the personal function should be separated. The personal function provides payroll with pay rate information for authorized hourly employees. Typically, an organization will offer a range of valid pay rates based on experience, job classification, seniority, and merit. If the production timekeeping department provided this information, an employee might submit a higher rate and perpetrate a fraud. Ang segregation of duties naman, ang sinasabi dito, yung function na pagmo-monitor ng time keeping ay hiwalay sa HR. Okay, next, supervision. Sometimes employees will clock in for another worker who is late or absent. Supervisors should observe that the timekeeping process and reconcile the time cards with actual attendance. Note lang, this is why companies employ various biometric devices. Kasi prone to errors, prone to fraud kapag gumagamit tayo ng mga time cards. So, for more accurate and effective timekeeping process, most companies use biometrics na. Next, accounting records. The audit trail for payroll includes the following documents: time cards, job tickets, and disbursement vouchers. Journal information, which comes from the labor distribution summary in the payroll register. Subsidiary, subsidiary ledger accounts, which contain the employee records and various expense accounts. The general ledger accounts, payroll control, cash, and the payroll clearing and impress accounts. So makikita dito na marami ditong accounting records. Para matrace, meron tayong audit trail from the source document papunta dun sa ating general ledger. Access controls. Ito usually mga physical o mga digital access o electronic access sa payroll records. The assets associated with the payroll systems are labor and cash. Parehas na yan pwedeng misappropriated through improper access to the accounting records. For example, a dishonest individual can misrepresent the number of hours worked on the time cards and thus embezzle cash. Similarly, control over access to all journals, ledgers, and source documents in the payroll system is important, as it is in all expenditure cycle systems. Kung sino lang ang dapat may access doon sa mga accounting records, sa ledger, and yung mga source documents, sila lang dapat. Wala nang iba. Hindi kung sino-sino. Okay. Independent verification. The following are examples of independent verification controls in the payroll system. Number 1, verification of time. Before sending time cards to payroll, the supervisor must verify their accuracy and sign them. Usually, pag gumagamit ka ng time card, kinakailangan i-verify ng isang supervisor para may verification. Number 2, paymaster. The use of an independent paymaster to distribute checks rather than the normal supervisor helps verify the existence of the employees. The supervisor may be party to a payroll fraud by pretending to distribute paychecks to non-existent employees. Pag naka-check daw, dapat yung magbibigay ng mga magche-cheque sa mga empleyado ay isang tao na hindi kasama doon sa payroll team. Yon. Number three, accounts payable. The AP clerk verifies the accuracy of the payroll register before creating a disbursement voucher that transfers funds to the impress account. Usually, before ka mag-create ng cash disbursement, you have to verify yung mga voucher pa. Okay, number four, general ledger. The general ledger department provides verification of the overall process by reconciling the labor distribution summary and the payroll disbursement voucher. Ito bang ito bang nasa labor distribution summary bumabangga ba doon sa payroll disbursement voucher? Traceable ba yan? Kasi kung hindi siya traceable, there must be discrepancy. So, merong reconciliation na ginagawa. So, yun yung six general control activities that pertains to payroll processing.